There are 6 bad habits that men have that ruin relationship. Taking a closer look at toxic masculinity. Do you fight all the time with your partner? Has your relationship lost all of its spark and romance? But you have no idea why. When it comes to relationships, many men are their own worst enemies. If you can't figure out what's wrong with your relationship, it might have something to do with how you act. You might be suffocating your love life with bad masculine habits that make you and your partner slowly drift apart every day. Do you know what it means to be a toxic man? So, here's a quick summary. Toxic masculinity is a way of thinking and acting that is based on harmful and out-of-date ideas about how men should be. Toxic masculinity tells you to man up and stop acting like a little girl. It also tells you have to take charge of everything. It's hard on both of you because it's tiring, hard to move around, and scary. Still, it's not all your fault. For decades, toxic masculinity has been praised by society, families, and cultural norms. Just now are we getting out of it? So, maybe you're stuck in a pattern of toxic masculinity that's hurting your relationship. Check out these bad habits that men have and see if any of them sound familiar. There are 6 things you're doing that are hurting your relationship. 1. Being too greedy. Your relationship can benefit from a little bit of jealousy. It shows your partner that you care about them enough to admit that losing them would hurt. It lets your partner know that you want them. But jealousy can get out of hand if you are always looking over your partner's shoulder. You might worry about what they do on social media or get nervous when their phone goes off. Some men even try to keep their partners from talking to other people. When you're too jealous, you're trying to control your partner out of fear, which makes you toxic. You start to come up with all kinds of ways that your partner could be playing you for a fool. At some point, you have to be able to trust them for the relationship to continue to grow. 2. Putting blame on someone. Arguments are the best place for bad habits to start in a relationship. The blame game is one of the worst things you can do. This is when you blame everything wrong in your relationship on something your partner does. It's never your fault, it's always something your partner did or said that caused you to act badly. This is a reactionary action that comes from a toxic view of manhood. It's the need to be right all the time and the inability to see anything wrong with yourself. It's possible that something your partner did or said caused you to react, but blaming others rarely makes things better. Some men do this to make sure they always win an argument. Relationships are made up of 2 imperfect people who give and take with each other. So, you must pay attention to the things you can change about yourself. This way, you're not trying to win an argument, you're trying to win the relationship by keeping it stable. 3. Not being available emotionally. It's not a secret that men often keep their feelings to themselves. Most men don't think anyone wants to hear how they feel, so they don't know how to explain what's going on inside them. You might have been told that feelings and emotions are for weak men or women. This is the furthest thing from the truth. Your partner wants to know how you feel, good or bad. You don't have to keep everything to yourself. This can make you feel like you're in a pressure cooker, and one day you might just blow. Try to get to know your partner better. When something goes wrong, this doesn't always happen. When things are going well, use it. Spend time with them and enjoy the time you have with them. When you talk about how you feel, your partner will respond well. So, even if you feel bad, you can feel safe talking about it and getting help to deal with it. 4. Being too controlling or clingy. When men start to feel insecure about their relationships, they often become too attached to their partners. If there's a problem in one area, your first instinct is probably to try to control the whole thing more. You might call them too often, ask too many questions about what they're doing, or become too needy when it comes to physical affection. All of these are signs of insecurity, and they can make your partner angry and stressed out by the relationship. You shouldn't give someone everything you have. They need their own space, and you should give them that space, too. This sets healthy limits and strengthens the strong pull and push that comes from wanting and needing each other. 5. Keeping strictly to gender roles. Men often insist on strict gender roles in their relationships if they grew up in an old-fashioned home or were influenced by certain cultural, religious, or social factors. This is what men should do, and this is what women should do. This way of thinking completely ignores how society has changed over time. Women don't belong in the kitchen, and you don't always have to bring home the bacon, so to speak. No one should be forced to play certain roles in today's society. Women can make more money than their husbands or wives, and men can run a home. Getting out of old gender roles is not a reflection of your manhood. That doesn't mean that the traditional roles for men and women are bad. It's just important to choose them on purpose and not get stuck in them because you think that's what your relationship should be like. 6. Being too focused on transactions. One way men ruin their relationships is by treating them like business deals. Even if you don't notice it, it makes your relationship more like a series of transactions. Taking care of your relationship isn't like going to the store and buying a loaf of bread, where you give your partner one thing and they give you something else in return. Toxic masculinity says that since you took her out to dinner, she owes you sex since you paid for it. Since you pay the bills, she has to do everything you say. You got her Valentine's Day gifts, so she should be happy. The problem with this kind of exchange is that it makes the relationship seem less important. You're dating a person, not a vending machine. You don't always have to give something to get something in return. That's an old way of thinking. Toxic masculinity is at work here. Stop thinking this way and try to be less transactional in your interactions. Here's what to do next. Men often don't notice these signs of toxic masculinity in their relationship, even as it slowly hurts them. That's because these are the kinds of things that men have always been thought to do. But being a man has nothing to do with what you do, say, or how you treat other people. It's an essential part of who you are. Even if you cry, show emotion, or have a partner who makes more money than you do, you are still a man. If this is all you've known your whole life, it might be hard to change all these habits and ways of thinking. The easiest way to move forward is to pay more attention to what you think and do. Know how your actions affect your partner and don't put the blame on them. For self-analysis, you should internalize your thoughts, but you shouldn't internalize your feelings. Feel free to break away from harmful masculine norms and find a way forward that works for you and your partner.